Good morning. I'm Dr. Ramesh from Amity School of Fine Arts, Amity University, Haryana. On behalf of Amity School of Fine Arts, Amity University, Haryana, I welcome our HOD, Dr. Rakesh Chaudhary sir, to say few words on uh, on the aspect of design thinking, a tool for sustainability in a changing world. Sir, please share your view and share your welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. A very good morning to all of you. I'm Dr. Rakesh Kumar Chaudhary, Head of Department, Amity School of Fine Arts. A warm welcome to all of you on behalf of Amity School of Fine Arts, Amity University, Haryana. I'm welcoming our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. P.B. Sharma, sir. He's a visionary educationist and founder, Vice Chancellor, DTU, and former President of All India Universities. I'm welcome you, sir. And also I'm welcoming our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Dr. Vikas Madhukar. Professor Madhukar is a dynamic leader and dynamic motivator. And I would like to welcome all the deans, directors, faculty members, and students. We are welcoming all of you. Today we have six eminent guest speakers who is going to share their idea and thinking and expertise and experience in the field of design thinking and sustainability. We have Dr. Maya Zaver, CEO of M3D Consulting and Assistant Professor, University of Wisconsin and Platteville, United States. We have another eminent speaker, Dr. Manish Arora, Raman Postdoc Fellow, USA, Coordinator DIC and IIC BHU. Next, we have Mr. Dharam Mentor, brand strategist, mentor, author, educationist, and founder, GDGB, Mumbai, Maharashtra, India. And we have our next guest speaker, Professor Dr. Shruti Nabudkar, Program Director, Professor, Department of Visual Art, Department, the School of Design, MIT Pune. And we have our next guest speaker, Professor Jyoti Shabra. She is a head of Department of Fashion Design and coordinator, Research and Innovation Cell for Entrepreneurship, Graphic Era Hill University, Dehradun. And the next, and the list, there is another speaker, Dr. Nilakshi N, Assistant Professor, User Experience and Interaction Design, School of Design, UPEA.
Dr. Chaudhary,
Yes,
if you permit, I can say a few words because I'll have to start from here. Really speaking, it's a matter of great privilege and great pleasure to have such a galaxy of eminent speakers who are connecting to this very important panel discussion on design thinking for sustainability. For a very long time, we have been designing for eminence, we are designing for excellence, we are designing for efficiency, but really speaking, design for sustainability is something which we neglected. And sustainability requires design thinking to be understood right from the time when you conceive an idea and start shaping that idea, even in terms of sketches and preliminary thinking, in terms of giving shape to the idea, we need to percolate the sustainability consciousness, which means whether my design would be able to not only serve the purpose for which it is being designed, but also be able to protect the interest of man and interest of environment together during its functioning, as well as after it has completed its life cycle of its own performance, and then it is to be disposed of. Even at that time, we need to assess the sustainability of our design after it has served the useful purpose. And we need to now ensure that a totally new focus is provided to our design processes. Design for life today would not merely be up to the end of performance or performing actually of the activity. The design for life would also include how it would impact the environment after it has completed its performance cycle. And therefore, it's very important for us to now understand the importance of design from the point of view of sustainability. Having said this, let me say that the selection of the design process itself requires a revamping in this respect. Selection of materials, of course, would be important. Selection of the processes which are to be employed in design and manufacturing need to be revisited from the point of view of not only just energy efficiency, but also from the point of view of environmental compliance. And once the design has lived its usual purpose, the product and systems need to be recycled, reused, and remanufactured, utilizing what we have considered so far as a waste. So that really speaking, nothing remains as a waste, and waste is converted into the real wealth for the well-being and prosperity of the humanity at large. I'm indeed delighted that Dr. Rakesh Chaudhary ji and his team has taken the initiative to organize this very important panel discussion at a time when we are looking at how we can make the circular economy work in our own country. In fact, one of the resolutions of the G20 summit recently concluded under the visionary leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister during the G20 India presidency has concluded that we all need to make renewed effort and renewed thinking is required to make circular economy work. And that is where I think the design thinking forms a very important parameter, in my opinion, a very important aspect in order to push a renewed push to our circular economy success. And therefore, when you deliberate and discuss the design thinking for the circular economy or for sustainability, keep in mind that today the whole world is looking towards employing our best of the knowledge and best of the mind, not only to the thinking that is required to create a bright future for the humanity, as well as the greenest future for the sustainable environment around, because already enough damage has been done by the product and services mounted on the strength of the mass production economy which we have adopted so far. New sciences would be required, new technology innovations would be required, new tools and systems of design would be required. And we in Amity University, Haryana here are very much conscious that universities have to provide the kind of leadership that is required to change both the mindset as well as the systems and processes of conceiving the design and making the design successful. And therefore, I think this is a very, very important aspect, and we must keep in focus what has been concluded at the G20 summit to make the circular economy work. I wish to extend a very warm welcome to all our distinguished speakers, and I know that some of them are joining even from abroad, and we are so delighted to have each one of them for this panel discussion. And we look forward to your matured judgment as well as your enlightened guidance and to our own university community connected to this important program, so that we are in a position to provide the major thrust to changing the very ways and basis on which the design currently founded. When I was a student at that time, design was for strength. Design was only for those functions for which the design is to be made. Later on, it became design for efficiency. It became thereafter design for energy. It became design for manufacturing. It became design for maintenance. But design for sustainability is something which is of utmost importance. And I'm pretty sure during your course of discussions, you would be able to identify those new directions that need to be taken to provide a renewed thrust to the design thinking. I extend to you the warmest greetings on my personal behalf and on behalf of my Honorable Chancellor and on behalf of my heads of institutions and members of the faculty for the success of this very important conference. God bless you, Dr. Chaudhary, and God bless all the panelists to give us the best of the thoughts and thinking at this very important juncture when we are revisiting our design thinking from the point of view of making formidable contribution for the success of sustainability and sustainable development. Thank you so much indeed for giving me this opportunity to connect to you at the opening hours of this very important panel discussion. Thank you so much, Dr. Chaudhary. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful topics and all the things which is you guided me and our panelists also to deliver their expertise lecture on particular the way which is you as a lot bearer, torch bearer, like the thing which is you identify the situations in sustainability and design. We are try to cover this all the things which is you mentioned in your speech. So thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time. And so as you know, I know that you are very busy and that some conditions here, but still you are joining. It's showing your dedication to the educationist and the society for your interest and your ambitions, all the things. So thank you so much, sir, once again. I would like to invite our today first guest and a speaker, Dr. Maya Zabe. She is from United States. She is a CEO of M3D Consulting and assistant professor, University of Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and United States. I would like to request Dr. Ramesh Shampui sir to a short introduce to Dr. Maya Zabe. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Dr. P.V. Sharma, for sharing your valuable words and inspire and motivation us. Welcome, Dr. Maya Zabe. Dr. Maya Zabe is an assistant professor from University of Wisconsin, Platteview View, and CEO of M3D Consulting, United States. Dr. Jaber has spent the past decade finding innovative ways to support market transformation for sustainable future. And she has over 20 years of experience of project management and development expertise. She has great experience in the field and area of sustainability in design. I welcome you, ma'am. Please share your valuable thoughts and ideas on design thinking. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here with all of you and discuss this topic. I come from the side of the business school, so I'm just going to share my screen with everybody. And let me hopefully tell me if you see it.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible. Is it visible to us?
Okay, great. So just to let you know, my point of view is going to be coming from the business side of things and sustainability, where we look at and when you're talking about circular economy, when you're talking about all of those things, the business side of it has to be strong and there. But before I start anything, I wanted to introduce myself and just to quickly introduce myself so you know where I'm coming from. I started my life as an interior designer. I went to art school, just like all of you are there. My foundations has been design. So everything we do within art school builds the foundation of what design thinking is. So understanding, I went to into interior design and as a field and worked my way within there. I got my master's in design management of where I really didn't want an MBA where I looked at finance, but I wanted to look at the creative side of things and how creativity and design can actually affect and grow a business. So looking at design thinking and design methodologies that can help create culture, branding, and overall optimization of process within an organization. So those were my foundations. I became a social entrepreneur, really pushing sustainability on all fronts. I come from the built environment and I maneuvered into social, looking how to transition and transform that marketplace. And I continuously utilize my design thinking methodologies and design process to influence and be able to maneuver everything within that realm. And I moved into my PhD for organizational culture change, focusing on sustainability implementation into organizations. So I'm a creative and an artist at heart on all levels. Again, utilizing my design thinking methodology. My expertise are in strategy, analytics, change management, and innovation. And my creativity and creative problem solving abilities has allowed me to really be able to reform and make these changes within an organization on a much higher level, on a faster level because of these methodologies. So my overall career maneuvered in from interior design, account management, project management. It doesn't matter what we do as a creative, depending where you're going, you need to understand management, you understand process, and you need to understand influence across the board and being able to manage any form of activity that you are doing when you're thinking about that. And design thinking brings that to the core and heart of it. If you want to know more about me, mayajabber.com, you can get more information about my backgrounds. But I'm going to go into what is design thinking, what is sustainability, and what can creatives do. So I want us to start thinking about that. So why design thinking, and why is it so hot right now? So design when we're looking at the world around us, everything is changing. It is constantly changing and evolving at a much faster rate. Our global economy, from technology, AI, everything that is coming onto organizations is, there needs to be now a different way of thinking and a different way of actually building organizations and being able to keep surviving. So they need to be agile, they need to be innovative, they need to be able to transition in all aspects as new technologies are coming at them and as climate change aspects are coming, regulations and supply chain aspects coming from all over the place. So having that design mind and design thinking and the ability for an organization to pivot like we do as designers and continuously learn is a necessity in today's economy. What is design thinking? When we look at design thinking, it's 5 stages of design. We have empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and evaluate. All of these aspects are important. The first one is to empathize. So understanding, it's bringing different characters to the table that are going to be influenced by whatever solutions we are trying to make, but we are empathizing and we are trying to understand the needs and aspects of all of those users. So design thinking brings that humanistic aspect to solutions that were not there in traditional thinking. So design thinking pulls together what is desirable with a human point of view and what is technologically feasible and economically viable. So really looking at new technologies, what's the economy and how all that works together, bringing that group together of collaboration, because design thinking brings collaborative teams together to the table, defining what the problems are, coming up with ideas and solutions for it, prototyping it, evaluating, and it is a constant loop. It's a constant iteration. So it's using of creativity and imagination, trying out ideas and making things better until we have something useful. And that is how designers think, and we are constantly moving within that world. And design thinking breaks it down for everybody to be able to do that. Design thinking can help organizations understand and meet needs of people you're creating solutions for. That could be your customer, your clients, students, any users that you are thinking of what is needed. It reduces risk associated with launching new ideas and products and services. Again, that constant evaluation and when you coming back to the users on the empathize side of it. And so that continuous process reduces risk with any new product idea or service that is happening. It generates solutions that are revolutionary and not incremental. So design thinking brings together all aspects of the needs. It looks at a holistic picture and brings it down to very targeted what it is. So it has the macro and the micro aspect of things as you are trying to create those solutions. It is learning and iterating faster in a constant loop. So if you're looking at IT and product design, design thinking is utilized extremely heavily in that system because it is a fast learning and iteration process. And collaboration, and it taps into creative potential of individuals and teams. Design thinking brings collaborative teams, multidisciplinary collaborative teams to the table, and really starts creating those teams, and which is very necessary for any form of innovation. I wanted to show you here that just a quick picture of where design thinking actually will fall in all of our overall tools that are needed for just making changes within any form of system in an organization on an organizational level. Design thinking has the highest impact after investment of analytical tools and skills. Creative problem solving is embedded in an organization or creative teams. It creates a much larger impact. If in an organization, everybody thinks like a designer and has design thinking methodologies across the board in an organization, more collaboration is going to be happening, more ideas and improvement of process is going to be happening. So it is a constant, does this work? Is this not working? And if it's not, it is a constant fix. And who do we need to speak to? So that web of connection is there through the design thinking methodology. Now we want to go into what is sustainability. Sustainability has come a long way. It started with looking at environmental from water, energy, and waste, and transitioned over the years into really looking at more on a holistic level of our environmental social governance. So when we're looking at sustainability, you talk about circularity or anything else within that realm, climate change and all of those, it comes down to businesses and how businesses are running themselves, what accountability do they have in, and what kind of strategies are built in. So now organizations are being forced to look at their environmental, social, and governance aspects of it on a larger scale. Sustainability is a holistic behavior in an organization. It needs to be embedded into their overall culture and strategies. Overall behavior change has to happen in everything we do when we're talking about sustainability. It is not the traditional way of thinking of incorporating the environmental social governance in an organization. But those policies and standards need to be across the board, and they need to be done from the ground up and from the top down, and also implemented in external to the organization and how they work. So thinking about sustainability, we also now have to look at where companies are. So in the FP, here we see the S&P 500 companies. We see sustainability reporting is increased from 20% to 82% by 2016, and it's gotten much higher now. Even small organizations now are looking to be more sustainable. They have to be transparent and have this reporting done within that. So organizations need to build, design, develop proper sustainability measures and strategies that they did not have prior to this point. And for them to do that, they need to be holistic. They need to change holistic organizations' behavior to meet the requests of these behaviors for environmental social governance to be built into their organization. And design thinking methodologies help break down silos and challenges that exist in an organization and help build communication, collaboration, and trust across the organization for the ability for organizations to actually work together. And then as they have design thinking built in across their employees, they will be able to embed these aspects into their organization, change that culture, and be innovative. Here we see that innovation, employees are key to innovation in this, this data set. And we understanding that if we can build that concept of design thinking into an organization, more innovation will happen, and the ability to embed sustainability into organizations to be able to create products, to be able to build accountability across the board, anything that has to do within products and services and everything else. Design thinking is key to that aspect in an organization. So for innovation to occur, collaborative teams need to be creative and holistic in their thinking to design and develop successful solutions and strategies. And design thinking methodology and tools help organization unify, collaborate, and build trust and care across the organizations. So understanding that design thinking helps change process and pushes organizations to be able to innovate. Now within our economies, there is such turbulence and turmoil that are happening that organizations need to be agile and innovative to be able to survive as things are continuously evolving. So for them to be sustainable in their field, in their market, as well as looking at the environmental social governance aspects to build that into their organizational culture is going to be extremely important for them to actually be able to survive as well, because now transparency and reporting of these things are going to be mandated across the board. They're not as of yet, but we see the SP 500 are doing it, and now as RFPs are going out and other things are being requested from every organization, as well as subcontractors, everybody else has to have some form of environmental social governance reporting happening. So for them to build that needs to be built into their culture, and design thinking methods to be embedded across the board in an organization will help them be able to be both agile, innovative, and innovative for them to be able to embed all of this and create products that are sustainable and services across the board. It's a domino effect. So what can creatives do? What can all of you do when you're looking at your careers moving forward? So these are things you need to start looking into. You need to hone and connect with your creative process and understand design thinking methodologies. Within art school, we do this all the time. These are when I went to school, I didn't realize what I knew or how I did my process and how I thought, but now design thinking methodologies breaks it down for us and helps us understand it much better. So now within that, we can also bring that, you don't have to be a creative to do it. Now that design thinking methodologies are there, we can even teach others how to think like designers and break it down and be innovative. So you want to try to hone into your creative process and understanding of how design thinking methodologies are. You want to take the sustainability process is in every field and understand that sustainability doesn't matter where you go. You need to understand sustainability and how it affects it in a holistic level, and how to interlock what you do and your direction within that aspect. So how would you, if you are looking at product or fabrics or just design overall, what kind of chemicals are going to be used? All of these types of things are built into your overall design or process that you are doing. Is it harmful to the environment, even with the paints that we're using, right? Like these are things we as designers need to stand up and say, we are only going to be using the healthier products or products that are treating people within supply chain, manufacturing process. All of these things come down to the designer as well, as we start looking at what we're going to be selecting and what are we going to be doing within our own fields. And those are starting to be really asked of designers now, to be able to understand those connections and be able to create products that are holistically sustainable, right, within the realm. And so understanding those are going to be very important, as well as understanding business and process and how you can grow and how you can position yourself to use your creativity to grow. Understanding now in this new era that we are in, that creatives are key players in all aspects of things. And your talents and the ability to create are needed tools in organizations and in business. So understanding your creativity, understanding sustainability, and understanding the business aspect and business process is going to be very important for you to be able to position yourselves now and be able to grow in this ever-changing industry. I think that is my time. So thank you very much. Again, I am Dr. Jabber. I am from the University of Wisconsin, and my company is M3D Consulting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Javed, for your valuable words and inspire our students towards sustainable development. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
Sir, our next speaker is Dr. Manish Arora. Manish Arora is here. Dr. Manish Arora, sir.
I think sir is joined now. Is it joining? Yeah, sir, join.
Manish sir, please unmute your microphone and. Hello, sir. I'm from behalf of Amity School of Fine Art, Amity University, Haryana. Sir, I welcome you to join our expert talk on design thinking, a tool for sustainability in a changing world. Dharma sir is an art director, and he has done his master degree in branding and identity from University of the Arts, London, and his firm belief is he's on a mission to help brand with design thinking to grow in upcoming 10 trillion Indian GDP, brand strategies and mentor founder, and he's a founder of Good Design Thinking. He's a good business founder and mentor. I welcome you, sir, to share your valuable words. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me. It's a great opportunity for me to share some of my thoughts. Just give me a minute to try to share my presentation. I hope you guys can see my presentation.
Yes, your presentation is visible on screen.
Okay. Yeah, I'll directly jump into sharing my thoughts, and in between I will talk about a little bit about myself. And at the end of the presentation, I'll give some more details about me so that you guys be in touch with me. So as this particular discussion is around sustainability and how design thinking can help us to achieve that. So I kind of going to talk to you around how design thinking can enable a conscious consumption, because I see whenever I hear sustainable related discussion, they're always lopsided. Either they directly go to the manufacturer or a business asking them to control things, or else they come to the consumer side asking consumer to be more consume consciously or kind of control on their consumption. So here I'm trying to balance both. Both are important. So let's go. So how design thinking can enable us or help us to become a conscious consumer. So let's simplify conscious. It's too big word or a mouthful, difficult to keep in mind. So therefore, I just simplified it: mindful consumption. We all know roughly mindful consumption. It means thinking carefully about the consequences of our action as a consumer. So just looking at this image, and if we ask ourselves, tick the box, which one do you think we're going to tick? Of course, we consider there's a lot of mindlessness or mindless consumption, which is portrayed here. Likewise, if I show this, now your thinking change. I want to request all the designers that don't think plastic is bad. Plastic is useful material, but where you use, that determines its whatever, okay, whether it is a bad or a good. Here you can look at it. We all know it's a good thing. Today morning we took bath because of the water storage facility. And as a humanity, we waited for a material which is corrosion-free. Plastic is here, which is beautiful material in terms of lightweight, corrosion-free, which has got 500 to 700 years of life. This is a blessing. Only problem with plastic is that where you use, okay, that determines its fate. So as a designer, we need to keep this in mind, how we use material appropriately so that we will take advantage of it. Again, one more choices. Again, like consumerism, when we kind of take it to the extreme end, it starts becoming mindless consumption. So one more thing here, you can see very clearly, there is already sales going on, but there is a extra 30% of the sales plus sales. It's kind of, again, it is encouraging that mindless consumption. So we need to be a little aware about these things. And to just look at, as a designer, this open mind and open heart, if you start looking at it, you'll start seeing that, hey, there are certain areas we need to kind of educate, we need to bring, or we need to kind of come up with the product and solutions which will make us much more conscious consumer. This is one interesting image which I found on the internet. It clearly demonstrates visually how mindlessly we're just consuming. We need to be start inculcating consciousness in terms of the consumption. That's the bottom line. So now, as a designer, how can you help in increasing mindful consumption among the people? Because as a designer, you have a lot of this power. So that is what we're going to look into. So of course, there are tools and methodologies, especially design thinking framework is an interesting tool. So by applying design thinking, you can address most of the sustainability aspects. And we already know, if you just Google it, you'll come to know about what is design thinking. There are 5 stages. I'm not going to talk about these 5 stages, but just think these 5 stages are meant to do 3 types of innovations, okay? So as a designer, your biggest role is that you will be innovating things. So you will be doing innovation in the area of function innovation, process innovation, and emotional innovation. So these are the 3 types of innovation, whether separately or a combination of all 3, we will be innovating as a designer using design thinking tool. I will give you some examples to narrate this story much better, okay? So Now the question is, why do we, a designer, innovate? What's the reason? Of course, we all know that to address the issue or improve the condition or increase the well-being, okay, human well-being, community well-being, planet well-being. So these are the objectives we have as a designer whenever we innovate. So this is where good design thinking framework, which I kind of furthered it, is going to help us achieve our objectives. So as we know already, it is overtly bombarded on internet or wherever you hear that. Whenever people say good design thinking, they always use this mantra. It's a human-centered approach to innovation. I would like to say, of course, it is a human-centered, but plus community-centered. Okay, just human-centered, it is very much like it's a very lopsided kind of thinking. Plus planet-centered. So having these two pluses, like human-centered, community-centered, and planet-centered approach is the holistic philosophy of good design thinking. So whenever we innovate, applying design thinking, as a designer, we should make sure that we are ticking these three boxes. If not all three, at least two boxes we should be ticking or addressing. Let me give you some examples of some of the innovations which you're already aware about, how they are subtly using good design thinking. Okay, so let's look at the process innovation. And you all might have come across this packaging design, and it's very fantastic design thinking. As a product designer, somebody came up with very interesting packaging design. So how this is human-centric, how we are taking the human-centric, of course, this is a shoe bag, which further helps the customer or a consumer or to keep their shoes protected. If you see, it is a shoe bag plus a shoe, basically protection bag, which you can use it later as a bag to keep your shoes. So there is a multiple usage this particular box has. Likewise, let's look at what is that community-centered aspect this is doing. And here, if you look at your conventional shoebox versus the Puma shoebox, it's using less material. What does it mean? Less trash. What does it mean? Less load on city garbage management system. So as a designer, can you bring this innovative thinking to reduce material when you're producing these kind of material? Lastly, now here in this pack versus any other shoe packaging, you can see the less cardboard usage means a fewer trees have been cut, less manufacturing waste. All of them or all of that aspect is a good for our planet, isn't it? So now you can see that how the good design thinking, three aspects are ticked through this particular product design. So likewise, emotion innovation, which wherein recently, some years ago, National Geographic came up with this concept. They ran a campaign called Planet or Plastic. It's kind of a awareness campaign wherein they were educating people like how they're supposed to take care of environment. They should not throw the plastic like recklessly, all of that. So again, in this case, they are using this campaign to educate individuals about how negligence causes damage. And community-centered aspect is coming because they're bringing awareness to the community about the side effects of environmental problems. And lastly, educating awareness can lead to people to take care of the planet. So one way of you can bring the conscious consumption or sustainability is building awareness among the people. And recently, I believe most of you must have seen this Apple advertisement, Mother Nature needs a status report. So again, that is also emotional innovation, part of emotional innovation, which is kind of bringing that sustainability factor, how Apple is living that sustainability, the role, a part into the society. So likewise, function innovation as a product designers, some of you already know that. How do you increase the functionality? Can I add a multi-faceted functional benefits? We all know our home need a roof, but can roof produce electricity? So again, here you can see that how that functionality, the added functionality added to the roof, and how that is helping you to achieve this human-centered and community-centered, planet-centered consciousness aspect. So you can clearly see that this good design thinking, 3 types of innovations. As a designer, when you're innovating, you can consciously look at and how you can contribute. Whether you're a communication designer, you can make campaign wherein you build awareness. If you're a product designer, then you can think in existing products or products, how you can reduce the material use or a printing ink use. Many ways you can bring that sustainability factor into it. So likewise, functional innovator as well. Few more examples. This is just a kind of a thought-provoking. I see a good number of designers listening this particular presentation. Look at this. We can see a lot of mindless consumption here. So can we come up with a wooden brush, and instead of paste, can we have another format of paste delivery, which doesn't use so much plastic? Okay. So like, again, like once this brush is worn out, you can remove the top and you can use the bottom again, like you can replace it. So now you can see these solutions, like where the mindless consumption, which is moved toward mindful consumption. So as a designers, like you should play a role in increasing mindful consumption through innovation. One simple exercise all designer can or should do it. Just look around all the products which consumers are consuming. Just apply design thinking and think for solutions which are much more sustainable without compromising efficacy. Okay. So as a designer, how can we add value? Because I worked in an organization. Currently, I'm running an organization. So there's value adding is very important. Okay. So as a designer, how we can add a value? So if you see, like, how do we use the traditional wisdom plus modern scientific efficacy? Like whether all the tradition, whether Chinese tradition, Japanese tradition, Indian tradition, or Egyptian, Roman tradition, all of them have wealth of knowledge. So I basically here demonstrated pre-industrial era. So traditional craft, they used to use a lot of traditional wisdom. And when we moved to industrial era, we kind of switched all of these manufactured goods into manufacturing in the factory, mass manufacturing. Of course, there is a lot of science also involved in manufacturing. So that brought efficiency, and you're able to produce more quantity. That's how we're able to reduce the price as well. And today, like just roughly, you can say we are post-industrial era, just to understand per se. So what is that we can learn from previous two eras? the best part about pre-industrial era is that material selection and usage of a local material. What is the best part about industrial era is how do you make something efficacy, functionally very good, the functionality, high on functionality. So how do we bring these both, the traditional wisdom and modern science efficacy, and come up with the products? Here is one example. You can see this basket. They're using good amount of organic material, but at the same time, handle and the inner surface, they're highly efficient in terms of performance. So as a designer, you should start adding value like this. How do you take knowledge and then how do you use the science to come up with fantastic product? And few more examples. Here you can see that how YSL used the traditional material, and interestingly, they use a new method and design to kind of bring that fashion and stylish and user-friendly usability aspect as well. One more example, and this brand called EcoCraft India Online. They're fantastically providing a lot of these earthen utensils, which are highly effective in terms of performance, as well as they are eco-friendly. So likewise, one more last example. What we traditionally used to, if you are in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, you get to see a lot of these handmade tools. But handmade tools, generally, they lack in efficiency. Here, Urban Platter, interestingly designed, they use good amount of natural material, but at the same time, they haven't compromised on efficacy of the tools. So as a designers, you need to be conscious about it, okay? So in sum, having as a designer, following holistic approach or methodology matters to achieve sustainable future. Designer or innovator, all of us need to have intent. That is what really matters. Like we have to look around the object. How do we make it maybe 10% more sustainable, 50% more sustainable, sort of attitude we should start inculcating. And as a designer, we need to follow this traditional wisdom plus scientific efficacy, bringing together and producing effective product and services. Thank you for listening. This is it from my side.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for sharing your valuable thoughts and view, especially your views on human-centric, community-centric, and planet-centric design and traditional and combination of traditional wisdom and modern science in the design area and design thinking. I think it will help. It will help and enrich our students' view and widen their view on design towards sustainability. I thank you a lot from the behalf of Amity University. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir, it was it's a very interesting and a valuable presentation. As sir said, this is a holistic development and thinking process, which is design and sustainability is combination of the human-centric to the community-centric. So this is a very helpful presentation, and I hope this presentation and your idea will help to our students and as well as the designers to create before they create something like. So thank you so much, sir. Your beautiful presentation, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation and participate as a panelist here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir, shall we call Dr. Shruti Nagurkar now?
Yes.
Welcome, Dr. Shruti Nagurkar. Welcome to Amity School of Fine Arts, Amity University, Haryana. An expert talk on design thinking, a tool for sustainability in a changing world. Dr. Shruti Nagurkar is the program director and professor at MIT WPU Department of Visual Arts, School of Design, Pune, Maharashtra, India. Her expertise is her expertise and experience academician with contribution as member board of study and member syllabus committee at STPU and VU, faculty at BBC OFA with professional experience in branding and strategy, social media marketing, photography, graphics, identity design, and advertising. She is a strong education. She has strong education with double master degree in MFA Applied Arts and MA Fine Arts with keen interest in research-driven approaches and a guest lecturer at SID MIT Brick. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ramesh. At the beginning, I'll definitely like to thank the Vice Chancellor, Dr. P.B. Sharma sir. I would like to thank Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Vikas Madhukar, and also Dr. Rakesh Kumar Chaudhary for inviting me here and giving me this opportunity. We have had two very wonderful presentations before me, and Dr. Maya has presented with a management side to her talk, whereas Dr. Manish has very elaborately spoken about the role of branding and product design, and very interesting anecdotes he gave. So I think it's going to be bit of repetition somewhere, but I would like to make my talk a little, interesting by bringing in some common examples, common life examples. That's what I will like to say. At the beginning, I'd like to introduce myself briefly. Yes, I'm a professor with Visual Arts Department, and I come from MIT World Peace University. I also have a design house called Ampersand, which I'm running for more than 7-8 years now. My total experience is more than 30 years. And I have been a learner throughout my life because I thought that, learning is something that facilitates teaching, and especially in our field where every day there is a change coming in, it is very important that you keep on the same page with technology and new knowledge that comes up. So I'll start my presentation. So the topic we are talking about is design thinking as a tool for sustainability in changing world, right? So there are 3 key words that I thought. One is the changing world, one is sustainability, and then the tool, correct? So I have broken my presentation where I'm going to talk about changing world first, of course, and then later connect to the other aspects. So here you probably have been thinking it yourself also, because we all are in this era where things are kind of breaking down. We are in the 21st century where we know all the technology that has brought in a lot of change, a lot of progress to us, has also brought a lot of challenges further. Every invention that we have made probably has left a residue or a cumulative effect, which is bringing newer problems to us. So in the 21st century right now, I think we have breakdown of established systems. Definitely we are in an area where the work or the concept of how we work, the realm of work is changing. Climate is definitely a problem and a concern for all of us. Identities and how we relate to identities is also changing a lot. Biodiversity is a major concern. Political landscapes are also undergoing alterations, correct? Now, where are we going? Are we going where we have possibilities for change? See, we are trying or probably focusing a lot on linearity. I feel that when we say design thinking is a great tool, it is more because it is iterative process. And that iteration, probably we need to think a little bit about consciously, I like to give everyday examples. You know, when we are, for example, in a kitchen, or maybe your mother or somebody else is in the kitchen, and they are trying to cook something for the family, they are not following a process as such very linearly, isn't it? Yes, there is a process to cooking. Every dish will have a recipe, a process. But if you follow the process and do not inculcate the iterative thinking, then what will happen? You will create a dish and serve it the way it is, isn't it? But what does your mother do? What does a person who is cooking does in the kitchen? They will taste the food and they will adjust things. They will go back to the processes, you know, and there are multiple ways where they go back. If something, for example, salt is more in your final dish, then there will be so many possibilities that can be taken up, where you go back 3-4 steps before and then come back to make the product better than the final version, right? But right now I see that the linearity is very focused as a result of the belief systems that we have had. One example I like to talk about is our education system. When we go from first to second standard, we are supposed to go from second to third standard, isn't it? And if at all somebody fails, and that could be thought as an iterative way of going back and forth, it is thought of as a taboo. It is not a good thing, you know, that you fail. Now, this mindset, this belief system, I think is a big problem, where we always want to go front without ever giving a chance to somebody to look back, change, and, you know, probably change the direction if required. Now, this linearity is a belief system which is so much ingrained in us as part of thinking in certain way that the entire education system, especially I'm talking about in India, is focused on learning by rote. It is focused where you have to understand something, go forward, and you don't get a chance to come back. So I'm just questioning this linearity as a process which is mandatory, or which is the good practice, whereas going back is seen as a bad practice. Okay, think about it. Second thing that I focus on is separation, right? We are going more and more away from each other. Today, we look at students sitting, or, you know, children, youngsters sitting next to each other, and they are playing a game, but the game they are playing is on the phone, right? They are in presence of each other, but they are not interacting with each other. So the interface of interaction has changed and it has gone away. What you have in your front, you know, your own friend, you're not interacting with that interface anymore. You have a third interface, but that third interface, being mobile, is actually separating humans from other humans. Think about it. And this separation is not only here. If you start looking carefully, you will see that this separation is coming majorly in a lot of areas, right? For example, we talk about design thinking, bringing a holistic view, a view which is not only human-centered, not only humanity-centered, but universe-centered. But really, I want to ask, is this urban population or our landscape really encouraging even connection between the different stakeholders? Human-centered has made humans look like they are above everybody, and they are the sole authority for which everything has to be adjusted. We are forgetting that we are completely dependent on the animals around us, on the insects around us, on the landscapes around us, and the vegetation, the flora and fauna around us. Our new generation urban young people are able to relate, forget to any other animal, but even a most common pet, a dog. In my observation, it is half of the percentage minimum is scared of dogs. Why? Have they ever interacted? No, it's more about stories and our belief systems. That's something that I really want you to think about, okay? Then replicability. We are so much focused on being able to replicate something and then only making it a authoritative process. That are we losing some very important aspects where replicability may not be the truth? One more thing I want to focus is reductionism. Reductionism everywhere. So especially in design, I find it very interesting that, minimalism has been the mantra for a lot of people recently. But what do you mean by minimalism is a big question, correct? And if you are making everything simplistic, does it mean that it is not complex at all? How can something be complex and yet simple? I think students need to definitely think about it. All the stakeholders need to think about it. What is required? Is complexity bad? Is reductionism the only way? And I'm trying to talk about the belief systems, the mental modes that are developed or being developed in this entire so-called 21st century. One more thing that we are moving towards very fast is homogeneity. The globe is shrinking. We say everybody is watching the same channels. Everybody is eating similar food, What is happening? Are we really losing richness or are we enriching ourselves? A question that needs to be asked, because we know in design thinking, diversity is a very important tool, a very important concept. But by going towards homogenization or becoming homogeneous, are we losing some very important knowledge that is going to be very helpful to the humankind and the entire universe? A thought we need to think about. And again, growth. What do you think about growth? What is growth? All these are very structured and embedded thoughts as a result of the 21st century presence that we have. But we need to really think about the alternatives, isn't it? Because design thinking is about disruption. Everybody will agree that now we are at an edge where now we cannot indulge further into mindless thinking and mindless consumption, as Manish sir was talking about, correct? We need to be really conscious. Are we having that consciousness with us? Do we even have the capacity to think about what is consciousness and, actually making different decisions than what the others are doing? Because we are at an edge now. And if we don't think right now, then it is going to be a very different world, not very friendly definitely for humans. So then, if we have to think of sustainability, I think that we really need to understand that everything is connected. Humans cannot be isolated. They cannot be thought for in isolation. We have done that and we are seeing the result, the impact, and it's not really pretty, correct? So human-centered was a theme, and it has emphasized on competition and individualism over the co-evolution and holism. Sadly, it has brought up a lot of progress on one side, but on the other side, it has also brought in a lot of negative results. Now, what do? We really have to focus on our Indian thought, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We all are there as one entity. We are not separate, right? And then we need to explore different paths going forward, which can help us not only reduce the impact that is being created, but also think of how we can alter that impact, go and be better at what we were in certain areas, correct? So exploring different paths definitely needs a different mindset. And I think that design thinking is the solution that can bring in that exploration, definitely. One of the interesting concepts that I will like to discuss here, and I like to relate it later to design thinking, is regenerative thinking, correct? This has been proposed, and there is a lot of talk about this in the architecture community. And if you look at the history of design thinking evolution, it is the architecture and engineering disciplines, amongst others, who have dominated these areas, correct? So going back, we can see that regenerative thinking is something that we can think while we are thinking about design thinking, right? What does it mean? It means bringing equitable future for everybody to thrive, correct? Now, what does regenerative thinking focus on? It focuses on the rebalancing and restoring the relations between the social and environmental, the challenges that have come out or come to the fore. It is proposing that we can look at the entire universe or the earth as a living system. And what does that living system propose? It proposes that we acknowledge the relations between things and we value multiple ways of knowing, right? If we call something a living system, then there are certain characteristics, certain attributes that will become part of the entire system. The first characteristic is that living systems are nested. We need to understand this nested system. Why? Because the minute we impact one, then it is going to impact the other in one way or the other. This is very important. If we understand that our heart is not an independent unit, correct? It is a part of our entire system, but we do have heart experts who will take care of heart attack and, operate and bring the heart back to its health. However, the role of that heart is to have a good life for that human being. And equally, the hand, the hair, the eyes, everything is equally important. And independently, it doesn't mean anything. It is all nested together. It works together, correct? And here I think of one of the design principle or the concepts in design, or maybe even cognitive psychology, that is about gestalts, right? We always say that the parts, the whole is either greater or different than the parts, right? And this is something that I want you all to focus, that when we are focusing on individual projects, smaller products, smaller solutions, that time, are we forgetting the impact that it is going to have on the entire system as a living system that we have to think of, right? Now, second characteristic that we can understand is that living systems move and they do change. And we have to work in coordination, in alignment of these movements and of the changes, right? So Jenny Anderson speaks about the flow between convergence and divergence and emergence. And this is where the double diagram system comes to my mind, which is one of the frameworks for design thinking, isn't it? So you diverse and you converge, and then you diverse and you converge, and something will emerge which is going to be in alignment with the living system ideology. Third thing that I would like to speak about is the characteristic mentioned is that the living systems are emergent. What will emerge is going to be very different than what it would have been had you taken a linear parallel path, correct? because it is coming from the interconnections. It is coming from the dynamism of the entire stuff. The fourth characteristic is that the living systems favor diversity, right? Now, this modernism is really, I spoke about reductionism, I spoke about, homogeneity that is coming as part of world shrinking and globalization. Are we really trying to, and how can we, in fact, try to save the diversity? How can we, because there is value in diversity. And for example, if you see any forest, it is definitely different than a planned garden. A planned garden can have one species of plants, but that doesn't happen in a rainforest, correct? Because it is all interrelated. Again, the nested or dependent sustainability is part of that. The fifth characteristic is that the living systems build mutually and they reciprocate to each other. So this relationship is again at a core here. Now, coming to design thinking as a solution. We are calling the design thinking as a tool for sustainability. I want to address it as a mindset for sustainability. What is a tool? Tool is a very narrow concept, whereas mindset is a bigger, because it's a way of thinking, it's an approach, correct? And it's not limited to that toolkit. It is not limited to the series of steps, isn't it? It is very broad. And that is why it is a mindset. And that's why I said that we need to change the mindset. And when I was talking about, how linear we have become in certain areas, education especially being one very, very unfortunate example of how linearity is taken as important than the iterative process. I feel that we have to understand that, if you consider it as a mindset, it will open up more possibilities for you. See, Brian Lawson, who is one of the persons who brought in, or the person who facilitated design thinking as a thought, he did one experiment and he gave a few architects and few engineers some blocks to, reorganize. And what he observed was, where he called the engineers as scientists and architects as designers, is that engineers tend to systematically explore every possible combination of blocks. And after that, they try to formulate a hypothesis about the fundamental rules they should follow to produce the optimal arrangement of blocks. Now, this is a way of thinking, correct? Whereas designers, they make quick arrangements, multiple possibilities of these blocks, and then they try and test if their arrangements of these blocks is fitting the rules given at the beginning. Now, these are two different ways of looking at it, isn't it? And we have to understand that design thinking follows the designer's way, designerly way, right? Also, in the history, you will see, and even present, there are many frameworks for design thinking. It is not only one framework, which is most common, that is empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Yes, it is also very popular because it has been very useful to many people. But there are other frameworks for the same design thinking concept that we are talking about. So it's not one. So if we look at them, then this, Herbert Simon proposes 7 steps. Then head, heart, hand is another way of thinking. Deep dive is another methodology that IDEO has brought in along with the 3-stage design thinking. And then there is one more, that is human-centered design, which is specially for solving social problems. Double diagram, I'm sure many of you probably have heard and used also. Then there is collective action toolkit, designing for growth, blah, 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 and Luma system, so on and so forth. And believe me, students, I feel that, if you study the basics of all these, then you can yourself think about one or the other way of thinking of the processes, which can be your own process and still be design thinking. So please understand that design thinking is an umbrella term for many things, many frameworks. Yeah, as I was saying, that design thinking is disruptive, and really we are at a place where we need to think in a very different way, because the way that we have been following it has not worked for us, for sure. Going to the basics, why design thinking is very important and why it became important. There are a few case studies, out of which I'm just talking about one, which is focused on, the button, simple button, and why it can become very important. One of the case studies speaks about this nuclear meltdown, 28 March 1979 in Pennsylvania, which was a result of not being able to understand the state of one single button, whether it was on or off. And you look at the interface, very complex interface, and from there, the simplicity has definitely taken a forefront. But having said that, making things available as and when you need it is more important than just reducing things, And the second example that I'd like to talk about, which is there, spoken by many people, is about the elections that went where George Bush needed to win, and the butterfly ballot, it is called. And, that design actually enabled his victory. So if you just see how it is, the layout is very confusing, whereas this is the one number, this is the second number, but here the mind goes like this. So instead of this, people press this button, and there was a lot of chaos. So having said that, now what is design thinking? Design thinking is a branch of creative thinking. It is, and of course, there are various other thinking ways. So analytical thinking is different, critical thinking is different. However, whenever we speak about design thinking, we are more focused on the creative thinking aspect, right? Now, design thinking is not exclusive for designers. Or in fact, I'll say all of us can be designers if we start thinking in a certain way, correct? And it is a culmination of different disciplines coming together, but at the same time, it can be used by different people, right? So the core is to understand users. In this case, I will say that we need to think of users as a very narrow term, and now think of Earth every time we are designing something. And very important aspect is challenge the assumptions. It is very difficult to challenge the assumptions that you yourself have. So I think that starting with challenging the assumptions of others is a good way to practice, and over the time come to a place where you can actually look at you from a third perspective and, start challenging your assumptions, because you are only one, and the Earth is made up of diverse people, diverse living beings, diverse relations. So if you have to understand, and I give this example always, that in coming from art background, I say that if you are sketching a person and the model is sitting in front of you, and you have 5 people sitting around you and making the same sketch, each one of you can come out with a beautiful sketch, but each one will have a different perspective, which means the outcome will be completely different. And once you understand that, then challenging assumptions becomes very easy, correct? Because now you know that the other person will not have the same lens and maybe having a different reality. That is very, very important in design thinking. So it is a process that we follow. It is something that we need to think of, and empathy doesn't come unless and until you start thinking about others, okay? And the thought that I understand and know everything is a big problem in design thinking. Yeah, so if it is going to help us tackle problems that are ill-defined or unknown, then I think it is a great mental thinking process for us to try and solve the problems that we are facing today, right? So, of course, this is something that is available everywhere. I'm not going to focus on that much, but going forward, even Dr. Maya mentioned Tim Brown, I think, or Dr. Manish also, but he is one who has given a lot to design thinking, and he himself says that it is not just for everybody, but it is about everybody. And it is not only art, but it is also science. In fact, I should say it's not only science in today's present life scenario, it's also art, because many times I see that art is seen as, put down and science elevated. Design thinking needs both, and you have to have both aspects. In fact, I come and say many times to my students that design thinking is more of a common sense, which is mostly uncommon. Correct? We say that common sense is very uncommon. So this is one case study again where, this truck got stuck under the bridge, and many engineers and many theorists and everybody came and they were trying to see how to dismantle the truck or the bridge to get that truck out. And somebody, a very casual layman standing nearby said, oh, we can just remove the air from the wheels and it will go down by 4 inches. And that is how they actually removed the truck out. So, many times being a technician, we only want to think technically. And that is something which is not empathy. Empathy is where you think like other people can think. And this is a great example. So stories have great power, and design thinking is fed through stories. It is definitely based on the non-linear thinking. I've already spoken about it, correct? And I have also said that it leads to crisis. So now I will just like to say that, we have to think what needs to be solved. That is a very important question. The last question that I would like to put forth is what needs to be solved. If you can think of that well, then it is better. Otherwise, there is a problem, because if you solve the wrong things, then it's not going to work. I will just like to talk about a possibility, and I'm not saying that's the only way, but when Dr. Manish was showing that toothbrush, shifting from plastic to bamboo or something like that, I was just thinking that the age-old Indian tradition had a finger, that was used for cleaning your teeth. And or the colonial impact is so high that we have never thought of it as a good hygienic way. But really, is your finger not a good tool to help you clean your own teeth? Just think about it. I really want to close on that. Thank you so much. Thanks to the Amity University Haryana for inviting me. And over to the moderators. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Professor Shruti. Thank you for your valuable insight on mindset of design thinking, instead of a tool for design thinking, and empathy toward design thinking. Thank you. I think it will help our students and guide them for creating designs toward mindfulness, and they will use mindfulness and empathy towards their design creation. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Professor Yuan Singh sir, are you there?
Yes, I am there. I'm there very much.
Sir, I welcome you from behalf of the Amity School of Fine Arts to share your thoughts and view on design thinking a tool for sustainability in a changing world.
Thank you. I don't know. I haven't been able to actually listen to all the presentations because of the technical issue that I faced today. Finally, it could not be resolved by my IT team, and it's only resolved by my own secretary here. But anyway, I think what we heard is very important. That design thinking is not really something which is only for the designers. This is very crucial. I've taken that as a very important lesson, because now, right now I'm designing a new play of mine, which is a rewriting of 2,500-year-old text of Sophocles, which I'm rewriting now in Maithili, called Antigone Ekavingshat, Antigone 21. That is in 21st century. How do we view the story of Antigone once again? So as I'm doing, and as the book is emerging now, 3 books are emerging now from my side. One is from a book under the modern Makers of Indian Literature series on Sukumar Sen. Another is a translation of my own book of poetry, which got award into Hindi. And the third is this book. So I was just looking at these 3 books are actually being designed completely differently. And the design idea that has actually been discussed with the publishers is something which is very interesting. And how and why a certain kind of text requires certain kind of printing. I was showing somebody the new edition of Pablo Neruda's translation in Bengali called Prashnoputhi. And the size and the choice of the font and the amount of text that occupies in a particular page, everything matters to make it readable. So this is book publishing. I'm sure in any other kind of product designing, this is very crucial. As you enter into your washroom, you find that there is no switchboard. Switchboard is behind your door. So you enter into it in the darkness, close the door in darkness, and in the darkness turn left to find your switch to be able to switch the lights on. That's bad design. Obviously, any architect will certify that it's a bad design. So there are many such issues that you can see in daily life. So in a very sophisticated situation such as book printing and publication and designing, or in construction design, you have this kind of a situation coming up everywhere, and one has to resolve the issue very thoughtfully and very carefully. If you are actually illustrating a particular idea, whatever the idea may be, idea of a kind of the new building, the idea of a new construct, or the idea of a replica which you want to do it in a giant size. So initially you created a small sculpture, but you want to put it in a giant size. So the proportion and everything, how you would actually design would be of great importance, because you can actually have a statue, but if the statue looks very funny, just because your design has not been proper, then the whole idea is going to crumble down, and people will not be impressed by that. So I was only wondering what exactly and how exactly this kind of thing was happening so many thousand years ago, when people were actually creating or building the sculptures on the walls of the caves, or on the walls of the temple. Like if you go to Sri Shailam temple, you find the tablets all around the temple, which are on a very great height, and on that height you want to, and they were actually depicting the 11th to 13th century feminist poetry of Vachana poetry of Kannada, which they were doing on the walls of Sri Shailam temple. And all the temple architecture, all the temple sculptures were actually the best examples of the feminist designs. And how does one actually keep this semblance of balance? Because there are so many tablets, not one tablet. some 50 plus tablets around the temple of large size on great height, and people were still doing it. So, without a proper geometrical idea of designing, perhaps they could not have done it. They must have been very highly developed design thinking at that particular point of time, so that they were able to do it. Today, when we actually do the social forestry, this is another area of design that you want to create a social forestry. You want to decide where to plant, how exactly to decorate the entire space in a certain way. It's very important that you think of the design properly. The best example is that only this morning we have heard about the Shantiniketan being declared as the World Heritage by the UNESCO. And as you would look at because the dossier that we had prepared back in 2011, 2012, when we applied for the UNESCO Heritage tag, the dossier actually showed how barren the entire space was. And what Tagore did in thinking about where to place which building and how to actually create the complete structure of the university or the institute, which is Vishwabharati. That is something which is very interesting. So this was a poet's design, a poet painter who thought of a design for an entire cultural space. How did he come about that? What should be the proportion of what? Now, Kalabhavan, what should Kalabhavan look like? This is very crucial. And then, of course, as we all know, this is not only his design. With that, you have Nandalal Bose, you had Avan Tagore, you had many other people who contributed to Vinod Bihari, contributed to designing that particular area of Kalabhavan. But then it is very crucial that they were all able to think in an orchestrated manner. Quite often, a design thinking orchestra is very important. You are thinking of designing a music for a musical score for a film where the film will open will have the opening scenes. And if your orchestra is unable to take out the design or to implement the design that the musician has, that will be a pity, because sometimes we find this kind of failure happening in the filmmaking also. So I think this is very crucial that design thinking is given a lot of thought to. And as speakers today were very right in saying that it is not a prerogative of only a painter or a sculptor to talk about the designing. Designing has to be in the mind of everybody. Even the politician will have to have a design in mind as to how to think about the entire country and how to think about taking certain steps. So there is now nobody who can say that in an undesigned manner, in an unplanned manner, I can run the show. There cannot be anybody. A theater director will know which entry will be from which side. There are 3 or 4 different wings on each side. From which wings who will enter, and what will that mean? What the stage will look like? Because if you have worked on a theater platform, you would know that there are many levels of elevation that you make on the stage, and these levels of elevation actually tell you some bit of the feeling of or emotion that is conveyed by the playwright through the play, because some elevations are meant for the earlier happenings. Some elevations are meant for the contemporary happenings. Some elevations are meant for the people who do not matter for the thematics of the play, but who are there as part of the crowd. So there are many kind of design ideas that always come about in a dance stage, in a theater stage, everywhere. So if you look at this, there's hardly any space in life which is without the design. And we think that people in the villages are completely unaware of this kind of design, which is not the case. In fact, if you look at the village houses, you know which is the outer house, which is the inner house, which is the garbhagriha of the house temple, where the kitchen should be like that. And then when people talk about the Nairit Kon and Agni Kon and Ishan Kon and all this Kon, in a completely designed manner, where exactly the kitchen should be in your house, where exactly the main master bedroom should be in your house, which kind of structures cannot reside side by side. All these are very important, and they have a long-term effect on how exactly we live. So my profession is linguistics, and my passion is poetry. So therefore, I'm thinking only in that direction. But I've gained a lot from many of our speakers today, who have given us very right kind of perspective on design thinking. Thank you for asking me to speak for a few moments.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you so
sir.
much. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful explain, and according to not only the designer art, but also this is important for all these subjects matter in
Yes.
this. Yeah. So thank you so much, sir, for your valuable comments and your suggestion. Yes, sir, Ramesh, sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Yuan Singh, sir, for your valuable insight. Sir, I think Manish Arora, sir, is there. Shall I call him? Manish Arora, sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, sir is
Yes,
on.
sir. Please
Yes,
unmute the
yes, yes,
microphone.
yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Manish Arora, sir, is a postdoctoral fellow at John Hopkinson Bloomberg School of Public Health, Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh, India, and he is an assistant professor of Bandar Sindhi University. And he is working on public health campaign, social design, health communication for rural peoples of India. He has a vast experience in art and design field, and he is working as an assistant professor at Banaras Hindu University. He will share his idea today. He will share his ideas on design thinking, a tool for sustainability in a changing world. Sir, I welcome you, sir. Please share your ideas and presentation.
Sorry, sir, your voice is not audible.
Hello.
Yes, sir,
Hello.
fine, sir, fine, sir.
My screen is sharing or not?
Yes, sir, fine, sir. Sharing.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the inviting me. And today's topic is related with the sustainability and the design thinking. That is the one of the major phenomena right now in this world from the last some decades. The sustainability is buzzing word in this world, and right now, more than 1 week back, one of the leading company or the biggest company of this globe is announcing in the 2030 it is going to be a totally green, the carbon emission free. So these type of sustainability thoughts still is going on, and hopefully it will very beneficial for all of us. Right now, we are thinking about that why design thinking and sustainability is both is a compatible and how it is important. As a designers also, as a thinkers also, as a policymakers also, and as an academicians also, when we taught or when we given any assignments to the art and design school to the students, how they think it, or maybe in the research scenario also in a fine arts or design institutes, how they think about that sustainability in a preview of design thinking. So design thinking is a very good thought process across the globe. United Nations already add in its 17 sustainable goals, different type of things also. Right now, today we are talking about two side of this sustainability related things. One is for the good purpose, and one is for the critical level. Why these things are not going good? It's a misleading type of things by the huge companies across the globe. So today, the present designers are using lots of sustainability related things. They think about that the color, the paper, the thought process and the implementation of that, especially for the digital era. The audio and video is in a very data is look like an right now ATA type of things. Each and everything is related with data is the most important thing. So in relation with that, recently the Tata is Tata, different type of Tata's brand is very much reliable products, and it is very by the consumer. So then the recently the campaign is came here, the alarm bajne se pehle jago re. So Tata Tea ka jo, this is the best example for that. So how the designing concept is creating any type of change the atmosphere or the in a human psychology also, in a human behavior also. When these things are come in a mind, before alarm, if we wake up, it means that it's a very good morning to everyone. So that is the one of the messages, very good type of things who aware the consumers and designers also. So you should think about that. Why we need the alarm in any era when the alarm was not there, then everyone have wake up in the morning. So when the early morning is there, so that will be the very good concept like that things. The next is the Toms. As everybody knows that the Toms is a very well brand and it's known for its making comfortable shoes. It's a global brand, and company uses the profits from its business to help people and the environment also. And the overall term is that to how to use the recycle things. So when the design thinkers or when the designers is thinking about that, the lots of these words also here, the recycle the plastic, recycle the paper, recycle the hard materials. So many issues are right now in this the environment friendly things. So when the designers are thinking about to make a campaign like that, so they should try to understand that the impact of these words or maybe the uses of these type of things when they use the recycle things, how it is it will be go in a good way or in a bad way. And the next part I will show you some of the misleading things also. So right now the Toms is using the lots of earth-friendly materials and waste and energy use. The team behind the business offered customer packaging that is created for material that you have been recycled. Recycle is the another good example for to think design think under the design thinking process, how you use different types of products or your services or message to the consumers to why it is important in a sustainable mode to use for the society, humans, human body, especially for the environmental related things. Another example is the Starbucks. Starbucks is a very good and success example for that to use the environment friendly things. And this is the one of the great examples for to how to run a sustainable product and to run a sustainable business also. If designers or the policymakers or the manufacturers have a collaborative and discuss in the different issues of the sustainability and produce or ready to share the thoughts or the product in a market. So these are the eco-friendly buildings, materials, or maybe the recycled materials in a paper or in a cup or in a coffee mug. Then it will be very helpful for the consumers also and the design thinkers also. So Starbucks created a concept that the greener store framework. So right now, more than 2,000 stores are in a greener concept base. It means everything is look like a recyclable material, less carbon emissions, and lots of other things related with the reuse of the products also. So that is the very excellent example of any design thinking process. When you produce the things related with the environment, when the right now, this genre or the 20 last 30 years, the people or the public or the policymakers are very much aware about that in any level to save our environment, to save our earth in a different mode. The small steps are creating a big impact in different fields. We also know that it is not an easy task and it's in a running process. Because when we create any type of recyclable material, then lots of materials also came not recyclable or very hazardous for the environment and the public also. So if someone is going like the green market type of things, and then green marketing example of the Starbucks is very good for that. They have introduced the green showrooms, the green coffee shops. It means not color green. The green is the basic color of that Starbucks also. But the use of the materials, the seating arrangements, the flooring, the showroom, whatever the materials they have created for the Starbucks coffee shop, that is the big thing for that. So free from plastic concept is a very good and successful Facebook campaign for Starbucks. That is the another good example for design thinking process, especially in relation with the sustainability mode. When we think about that, any type of product, any type of key elements, or because the packaging is the one of the most important and essential part of any product or sale. If we use this type of things and public understand, the consumer understand that this is very useful for the environment also. It will really a very great example and success business model for that. Then the WWF, also the World Wildlife Fund, is one of the most prominent business that have gone green. The reduction of carbon dioxide emissions and the promotion efficiently recycling practices are the primary focus of this initiative. So an innovative rainwater collection system is one of the company's main the main thing behind that is they create some type of eco-friendly things. It means the World Wildlife Fund is the behind this thought process behind that, the save environment, save animals, save life, save birds. So whatever the things is used for a different types of products, lots of shoes and leathers are related with the cause behind the less quantity of these animals. And so the environmental friendly things is the good example for any type of business that encountering the customers. So it means we save our if we save our wildlife, if we save our animals, so then we move for the travel. Otherwise, after some times there is no forest or no animals. Right now, lots of issues related with that. So that is the another good example for the sustainability. And design thinkers think about that, how to create a concept, how to create a layout practices, how to produce the design and the message. It is clearly message to the consumers who is benefited for that, and save the environment also. Save the environment is not the only issue for the only carbon emissions and earth or air. It is related with the humans and animals also. In the next part of that is some of the good examples for the sustainability. But when we think about that as a design thinker, as a design thinking process, we should understand that behind the scene, there is lots of controversy and misleading things also going on there. And maybe whatever the examples I already shown to you, sometimes these companies also do lots of things that, and after the penalty or after the understanding of its thought process or the policymakers' pressure or the government rules and regulations, they change it. Now I'm going to show you some of the examples of falsification for sustainable components in advertisement. That is one of the most important thing for any any design thinking process or any designers or any policymakers, when we think about that, the product is going to the market, the product is going for the consumers, and it is related with each and everything, our environment, our policymakers, our financial system, our human behaviors, human related lots of things. And when we think about that, then behind the scenes, some of the things is related with the breaking the rules. So these type of things not happen. It is not a good for the any type of sustainability related things, not in advertising, not in marketing, in a human life also. One of the first example is that the Volkswagen. Then the Volkswagen falsely advertised environmental friendly diesel cars. And after the success of they sold more than some 550 millions of cars to have a catchy line that's an environmental friendly diesel car. But after that, the Federal Trade Commission, the government body who check all these issues, and when the consumers complain about that, and maybe some of the environmentalists or some of the NGO complain that, then after the study and after the fact-finding things, they find out that it's a totally false statement from these big companies are there. So then as a design thinking process, as a designer or as a human, we make all these things. We should have some type of morality. That is the one of the another key component of sustainability also. Because the meaning of sustainability is not only the run the things in a long term, the run the things in short term, but in the favor of consumer, not in the favor of manufacturer. These types of government body, policymakers, United Nations, UNESCO, they create impacts in lots of NGOs also. Then after that, they have fined for the more than $61 billion for all these things to reduce the things. But fine and penalty is not a reason or not a solution for any type of things, because it's the false advertisement create its role, and after that it will come in the public and the public domain. Then they use it, then they feel like cheated. So when we think about then in a design thinking process, we should understand that there is no misleading type of things, or there is no any type of things. Their impact is very short and money come, but after in a long term, the name and brand have a very bad reputation for that. And Volkswagen facing all these issues right now, or any company, whoever it is. Another one example is very little funny also. The Red Bull said it could give your things. And too many people are using this energy drink. But after that, so many years, one of the consumer went to the court and the government, and the complaint, it more than 10 years they are using Red Bull, but the no wings in his body is born or any type of things like that, I can fly. These type of misleading things is very important to understand as a design thinker process. Policymakers also, not only, I'm not talking about only for the design thinking is related with any type of designer's issue. It is an overall collective process, because when we do these type of things, the whole advertising agencies, marketing, media, management, lots of things are related to this, especially the funds. And after that, he given the lots of penalty, more than $13 billion. These type of things not happen in sustainable things related with that. So that will be very good for the people, good for the consumers, which basically we are all about talking about that, because it is related with the money and related with the faith, belief. These type, and the brand name was very badly dropped down for that. Another example for the New Balance. The New Balance is a worldwide renowned shoes, and they also said that they if you wear their shoes, then the calories burn more than any other shoes when you walk, when you run, and claiming so many health related benefits for the consumer when you wear these type of shoes. But after that, they claim that they have a different type of technology, and where the air come and pass, and your foot is now your body weight is very balanced type of things. But after the claiming, after that, the success of this brand, after that, when the government agencies or NGOs have claimed that, then they out of the court, they have settlement the things, or maybe they back the overall campaign. So everyone have some type of penalty, also $2.3 million they have paid for that, for the misleading of the information to the public. This type of happening in everywhere, especially in anywhere, especially in the advertising field, in the local level. Lots of things are going to be very the duplicate brands type of. Sorry about that. The seasonal things are running. Besides that, then another not a good example, it's a bad example, but it's one of the example for how to change the overall human behavior by one of the false advertisement, and maybe it will impact on the different health related issues or skin related issues for the human body. And one of the Olay ad, the Olay is the very popular beauty products, accessories type of things. Then they definitely eye cream retouch, they model in anti-aging ad. And this British advertising regulator banned this ad. In India, it's happened for the Fair and Lovely also. So that is I'm just showing the good and bad things, not bad, but good, and try to understand and reconcile the things. Why this is the most important thing for any type of thinking process. It may be a design thinking, it may be a financial thinking, it may be a brand related thinking. We should understand some type of ethics, morality, and facts. It is good for the product also in a long term. That is very much necessary for that. Otherwise, in a very short term, it's create a very bad impacts, and maybe some type the companies are shut down these things because of this misleading things. And as an example is the Splenda said it was made from sugar, and the company is not make the products no sugar. So this type of misleading information, lawsuit, policies, government rules and regulation, penalty implemented on these type of companies. And after that, the bad impact is that these type of companies have more than the brand impact by the 4 to 5 years back. So why the design thinking, or why at the time of thought process created by the whole team, not only the designers, the marketing team, the advertising team, the media team, why they not seriously think about that, and why they have a very short-term goal to earn money or to misleading the thing. When you think about that, when you're creating the advertisements or writing the campaign, you should understand about that under your brainstorming, or it's called the design thinking process. You should understand this key point that there is no misleading information is required for all these things. So many examples of that. Then the same thing is the L'Oreal claimed its skincare products was clinically proven to boost Genes. You just think about that, how it is possible to this type of beauty products giving you a health type of related advisory or health related issue, just like you are taking any type of medicine or any type of tonic type of things. So after that, they claiming lots of things. You are look like always youth and other things. and then they paid for penalty. But that is not the solution. My reservation and observation and request to the overall community who is presented here and who is listening after that, whenever you create any type of design thinking process, be serious and serious thought process adopt for the implementation of your product, because that is most important thing. Otherwise, the overall system and the overall brand will collapse soon. That is the main important thing as per mine. In the last plan, the Eclipse said gum could kill germs. When we chewing this bubble gums or gums, then it is claiming that kill the germs. The germs meaning the in our mouth. And then after that, when the critical analysis or maybe some type of health related issues or the NGO came and the government policies came, then they check that they have failed it right now and they give a course for the penalty also. So that is my overall presentation for that to all of you. My only last comment is that whenever we think under the design thinking process, we should take this note also, why sustainability is required and why the main important information is required and why we avoid the misleading information. I listening from the last 3 to 4 lectures also. The speakers are very well given the different dimensions of the thinking process. In continuation of that, I have provided to you why design thinking is important for the sustainability in the field of advertising. Thank you from my side.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable insight into sustainability, sustainable product and sustainable business, and ethics and morality in promoting products in market. I think it will give our students valuable insight and a great understanding while designing products. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation, and especially thanks to your busy schedule. You are have some times and share your thoughts with us. Basically, in last few experts we are listening, they all are talking about the thinking and sustainability involvement related to that. And your talk is something a difference to thinking as an advertiser, as a designer, to not only just design a product, but also the things about the ethics and the moral subjects of the matter that this thing is happening. So thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insight on the particular topic. And yeah, thank you so much.
We call Jyoti Chhabra ma'am now. Jyoti Chhabra ma'am, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Thank you, Professor Jyoti Chhabra. Professor Jyoti Chhabra is a former Pro-Vice Chancellor and Dean, School of Design at Graphics Era University, Dehradun, Uttarakhand, India. And she has earned a doctoral degree in fashion and apparel design from Lady Arvind College. And currently she is a Pro-Vice Chancellor and Dean, School of Design, Head, Fashion Designing from August 2021 to present. I welcome you, ma'am, to share your valuable thoughts on design thinking.
Thank you so much. At the outset, I would first like to congratulate the organizers for having a panel discussion on such a pertinent topic. And my heartfelt regards to Professor B.P. Sharma-ji, the Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Vikas Madhurkar-ji, the Pro-Vice Chancellor, and of course, Dr. Rakesh Kumar Chaudhary-ji, for putting this August gathering together today afternoon. I've been listening to the wonderful presentations so far, and it's been really heartening and enlightening to see that we are talking of design thinking, sustainability embedded into our own creative minds today. And before I go forward, I would just like to tell you a little brief about what I do. And I actually am a practitioner of sustainable fashion. And I also work in the space of zero waste fashion at Graphicera Hill University, which is situated in the state of Uttarakhand in India. It is a mountainous state known as the Dev Bhumi. There are a lot of temples, there's a lot of beautiful culture, but unfortunately it's little unknown to the whole world and also in our country at large. So I came here some about 8 years ago from Delhi. I've been working in Delhi University for 20 years before I shifted my base here. And I realized that we are not giving due importance to the culture of the state, and it really needs to be brought forward. And that has become probably my mission, or also the cornerstone of our department here at Graphicera, the fashion department, that we bring forth the culture. And very beautifully, it is being done here. And it also adds to the whole dimension that our policies for future also are giving due importance to culture. My predecessors have spoken about design thinking process, the models in different areas of, spheres, advertising, whether it's architecture, poetry, and elsewhere. So I'll be limiting myself to fashion. And I'll probably be discussing two very important case studies that we have actually done. And we are very proud of it because they've given us very good results so far. And they are in line with design thinking models of sustainability. So to begin my presentation, I hope you can see my presentation. Is it my screen clear? Is it visible?
Yes, this is right.
Okay. To begin, I will start with the sustainable goals of the UN. As we all know, there are 17 SDGs, and the aim of all these are to secure sustainable, peaceful, prosperous, and equitable life for all on earth. The word all is important, and that is exactly what two of the speakers have emphasized before me, that it's not human-centric only, it is all, today and also in the future. So SDGs emphasize future planning to promote human centricity, socio-environmental stability, sustainability, along with resilience. This brings us to a newer concept, which is relatively not being spoken about because new paradigms are being established for it, and that is Industry 5.0. We all know that we are living in the age of 4.0, but initiation of 5.0 has already begun, which values protecting the environment and society together. So the objective of 5.0 includes the inclusive development of economic, environmental, and social pillars of sustainability. And we all know that there are two models of sustainability, which works at bringing about the balance between social, that is how much fair wages the employees are getting for the right amount of production with optimum use of resources, keeping in mind the environment by using green technologies and practices. But recently, UNESCO's Universal Declaration on the Cultural Diversity added culture as a fourth pillar to the three pillars of sustainability. And according to this vision, culture, which was earlier included in the social pillar, has been decoupled from it and has now got its separate entity as cultural diversity. Now, what happens is that with the addition of this fourth pillar, there is profound implication, especially when we analyze in the fashion context. I am of the area of fashion design, so I'll be giving you references from my area. So this particular pillar has actually a lot of contextual importance, whereas fashion is concerned, particularly when it's in relation to traditional craftsmanship and crafts and traditional practices for which our country is specially known. So cultural stability in fashion and in the interrelated textile field, what it means? It means that we are supporting and sharing knowledge of traditional know-how, competencies and skills which the people, the natives of the community already know. And then you are using that in an inclusive way in fashion and textiles for future generations. So this particular study that I'm going to share with you today is actually about this, how the cultural practices and the creative nuances of the local cultural identifiability can be embedded in the process of design thinking, along with the principles of sustainability and Industry 5.0. So merging the three broad umbrella concepts together is where we are going to move ahead. So if you look at the normal or the standard Stanford design thinking model, we know that it's a 5-step process of empathy, design, ideation, prototyping, and testing. And if you look, where does design stand? Design actually is both art and science, as Dr. Shruti also mentioned. It's both experimental, empirical, and abstract. And where does craft stand? Craft actually is embedded between the two, right? So there is enough prototyping happening, there's simulation, there is modeling, which comes from the science background, but there's enough kind of manipulation, there's tactile, there's visualization, all that abstraction that comes from art. So craft is not only traditional crafts or limiting to fashion and textile, it could be anything. Craft is something which is done by hand. So tactile is very important when we are talking of craft. So this design family tree tells us about that. And finally, the model that can be developed for design thinking, keeping sustainability in mind, is that you are not only thinking with your body, you're thinking with your mind, you're thinking with your heart, your hand, and also your soul. So it is an amalgamation of 5 steps: practice, logic, emotion, experiment, and inspiration, all put together, which forms this model of sustainability along with design thinking. Now, what I'm going to present today are 2 case studies. These case studies, again, form very important pillars of sustainability. The first case study basically is where we have worked on 2 pillars of social and cultural sustainability. And the second, when I tell you, is going to be more on all the 4 pillars of sustainability. As I told you, I'm going to be referring to the state of Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand has one traditional art form, which is called mask making. And these wooden masks are made for several occasions. Like I told you, this land is known as Dev Bhumi, and all of us know that you have the main and the most important pilgrimages here. You have the Badrinath Ji, you have Kedarnath Ji, and so many other shrines of great importance. And a due reverence is given to all of them through their arts and crafts. So these people have been living these emotions embedded in their social fabric since centuries. And these wooden mask making craft has been into existence for more than 500 years. Now, where do they use these wooden masks? Are they just mere means of, decorating the walls? No, they actually wear these wooden masks. And one of the festivals where they wear is the Raman festival. You can see the image on the left. And here the entire dance form portrays the folklores and the mythological stories from our texts, and also give reverence to the Bhumi Devta or the Bhumiyal Devta, which is the landowner or the gods of the lands here. This has obviously been happening for last 500 years, but as we have moved ahead, what has happened is that the younger generation is moving out of this culture to earn their livelihood, to get better wages, to get better prospects in life. They're leaving their culture, they're leaving their crafts and moving to the plains or elsewhere, obviously, and being educated, they feel that this is not what they should be doing for future. But as a profound pride, what happened in 2009 was that UNESCO actually put this Raman into the list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. And this gave extra pride to the people. And this UNESCO validation actually brought back revival to this endangered art form. So our purpose was first to empathize with the craft. Empathy is not only with the person, it's also with the craft. It's also with the issue or the subject that you're talking about. So looking at that, different inspirations were drawn, and based on social and cultural pillars of sustainability, these elements were put down together. And these elements came from the different dance forms that they practice, the different garments that they wear, both men and women. And from this came the inspiration. The inspiration was threefold: traditional costumes, the sacred masks, and the instruments. And the elements were drawn from this. Now, it was not to create livelihood here first. It was first to give recognition to the craft. So like an artist has a canvas, we had the fabric and we had the know-how of the garments. Now, putting this context into fashion, we took these elements and based on the forecasts, the trend forecasts, we took the silhouettes. Looking at the silhouettes, we also got a brand endorsement and sponsorship from Brand Shree, which brought in some bit of economic stability and viability to the whole project. Now, moving ahead, you can see sustainable is also minimalism, mindfulness. So here, every style that was created was multifunctional. You could wear it in different styles, which would look like two different looks altogether. So every style that was created, I'll just give you glimpses today. I'm not getting into the entire collection here. So you can see here that different looks have been created by the same attire. It's a mix and match. At any other point in time, we can delve into details of every style. But here you can see it's a culotte style with a short skirt, which looks like a kilt. And then it turns into a coat and then a flary skirt. There's another one. Now, the surface embellishment was done by embroidery. Again, a craft which could be done both by the people and also which blended with the ethos of the brand that we were referring to and the consumer that the brand was catering to. Now, every embroidery design that was picked up had again an inspiration. You can see here, it's inspired from the musical instruments, by the flora and fauna, and by the temple architecture. This again, it's from the shape of the masks, it's from the flora and fauna and the temple. So all these were created. And this is a centerpiece that was created because this was a look which was flared in, and we all know that real flares are really in, and that's how the brand endorsed. And again, the embroidery talked of the main temple, which is the Boom Kshetrapal temple. You can see at the skirt area. And again, keeping the sensibility of the craft in mind, these designs cannot go below the knee level. So they were not put at the hem, they were put above the knee level. So all those emotional factors need to be kept in mind. That sensitivity towards the craft, the practitioner, the wearer has to be kept in mind. And these beautiful stripes that you see is a very beautiful custom. In fact, these are colored threads, colored bands of fabric, which are given as offering to the deities from different communities. So every community has a different colored band that they're offering to the deity. So those colored stripes and bands were used as design features. And again, you can see this is the men's design which was used. And this was a complete range. So you can see an amalgamation of such beautiful colors, embroideries, and the temple architecture. And when you look at the masks which are there in the background, they are loud, they are colorful, and so is the entire range. So range could not be subdued. The range could not be minimalistic. The range could not be, you know, a dull, earthy tone. It had to be, because it had to be in sync with the inspiration that we were drawing for the masks. The second case study that I have is more inclusive, and it talks of all the 4 pillars of sustainability. In fact, the design process that we are going to be following here combines both design thinking and dynamic thinking. This picture that you see is actually a picture of a nettle plant, which is a wild weed that grows in Uttarakhand, and it just grows in wilderness. And it's called the stinging Himalayan nettle. It's called stinging because you actually cannot touch this plant because it has fine thorns on it all over. And in fact, just to make the whole little thing lighter, every child in Uttarakhand has somehow or sometime has had a whack from this kandali, which is called in the local language, or bichugas as it is called. And, you know, otherwise the natives were actually using this for preparation of certain kind of tea and certain kind of sag or a food preparation, and for making ropes, you know, really crude, hard, jute-like ropes to bind their cattle or to, you know, have a fence around their houses and stuff like that. So how did we start? We actually wanted to use the properties of this cellulosic bast fiber. Bast means long fiber. And we wanted to convert this into niche range of fashion garments, which included the social pillar by inclusivity of the women of local community into the entire value chain. Following the traditional processes of pre-processing the fibers, a self-help group was created at Almora. And the women used the local resources like running water from the streams, local sand which is available to separate the usable fiber and from the unwanted parts of the plant. So the freely available wild weed has now become an economic resource for the area, which means earning for the women of these SHGs. Now, the bottleneck of the process, if so to say, was creation of this. I'll just show you an image. This is where the SHG is created. This is a workstation, a house was rented, is rented rather, the work is on. And a group of 10 to 12 women leaders were put together as SHGs. And here you can see they're using local sand mixture to separate out the long fibers from the stalks, which need to be removed. So they act as a bleaching agent, they act as a separating, and then they use a wooden mallet to beat the woody stalks out of the usable fiber. So after that, then the fiber is again, you know, separated out. And what you get in the end is this rough looking texture of the fibers. This is still not a yarn. Yarn is that continuous strand that you use to make a fabric. So this is still a fiber. So now the problem was, or the main bottleneck is how to create a yarn into it, which is fine and which is not crude, which is not rough, and it's not ropey like jute, but in fact can give you finer, medium and heavyweight fabrics. As a result, that you are able to create beautiful collection of garments. So that technology I'm not sharing here because that process technology patent is in way. So anyway, that is where the major point of research has gone, and technology has been embedded in the whole social, cultural, eco-friendly, environment-friendly design thinking process. So science also has become a very important part of the project. This entire project is eco-friendly. It is chemical-free. No synthetic chemicals have been used right from the first step to the last step. Here, when you see the fibers, the yarns have been created and they are being bleached, and they are even bleached with natural bleaching agents. After bleaching, then they are dyed in natural dyes. Now, when you're doing dyeing with natural dyes, you need a substance called mordant to fix the dye. Now, these actually could be harmful to the environment. But in this case, we were using all natural, eco-friendly mordants also. And you can see the vibrant shades of colors which were developed from these so-called the crude fibers that I had shown you right in the beginning. So this is technology embedded into social, cultural pillars of sustainability. And this is where the yarns were turned into beautiful fabrics on handloom. So again, no use of power, no use of electricity, only handloom. So right from the beginning till the end, this is a khadi and a handloom. Both khadi and handloom yarns were used to create these handloom fabrics. And this beautiful executive wear range in vibrant colors for autumn winter was created. You can see the beautiful dresses and the blazers, which are created from that rough looking fiber that I showed you in the beginning of the slide. And this particular range was sponsored and accepted by Raymond's. The next collection that I'm going to show you goes a notch further, and it includes the concept of minimal waste and zero waste into it. Now, this again was an formal evening wear collection for women, as you can see here. And these beautiful fabrics were created again, like I told you, using natural dyes and the nettle fiber. The concept that we introduced here to bring in minimal waste was engineered fabrics or engineered garments. As you can see, this dress here has about a thigh length of red striper, and the hem area has white and red striper. Now, there is no seam here, but in fact, this garment has been engineered on the loom of this length and has been simply cut and sewn. You can see there are hardly any curves. So this is almost minimal to zero waste, and you are further reducing so many steps of cutting and layering in between. It's just off the loom garment. So it is absolutely minimal waste and sustainable. This is another which is using absolutely 90% of gray fiber. That means no colored. So you're even going color free. You're doing away with the cost of the dyeing also. But some bit of color is added by engineering at the hem, where you're using red yarn as thick and thin stripers. So again, there is no seam here. A straightish look, no wastage while cutting, sewing, and it is again straight off the loom garment. This is a zero waste garment example. Crocheting was used as the technique of fabric development and then further garment development. So as much yarn that was required to be used to make this garment, only that much was used, not a centimeter extra. So there is zero wastage here. No wastage in this fawn color, which is again the natural color of nettle, has been used, and it is a zero waste concept. This is the entire collection. If you see all the garments and the accessories, especially all accessories used here are zero waste, and these white and red patches that you see on the handbag are upcycled. So whatever little wastage that came out were turned into these beautiful caps, headbands, and bags. So it is absolutely a minimal to zero waste collection that was drawn. So I would just like to finish with a little video that I have for you to see. I hope it plays.
You can share again with the sound if you want, because we can see, but I don't think we can hear.
You can't hear the sound?
No, we can't.
I'm sorry. There is actually only music. There's no voiceover. So maybe I'll do little voiceover there. So this is where the bamboo yarn was used as the warp. And this is where nettle was dyed with natural dyes. And this is weaving on the handloom. So you can see here, this is a white portion and then the red. And this is an autumn winter collection because this fiber has a property of being a cool and both a warm fiber. It can be both worn in summers and winters. Has the property of keeping you warm in winters and keeping you cool in summers. So if you look at the styles as well, they are more rectangular, and rectangular pieces give you less or minimal wastage. So thank you so much. That's it from my end. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and this is actually the case study that we have been doing to embed sustainable practices into design thinking, following all pillars of sustainability. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks a lot. This practical demonstration, I think it will greatly inspire our students. I think they will think from this kind of perspective, and they will, I think, go through our traditional way of designing thing, and they will understand it. Then, and as you mentioned, in sustainable design, that is practice, logic, emotion, experiment, and inspiration. So they will try to understand it. They'll put logic and emotion in it and experiment, and then come up with some beautiful and wonderful solutions in future.
Thank
So
you.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your valuable insights. Thanks a lot. Sir, our last speaker is Nilakshi Yen. Nilakshi ma'am, are you there? Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Nilakshi ma'am is an assistant professor at School of Design, UPES, Assam, India. And she has got her PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati in 2021. And she is a design practitioner and researcher who completed her and practitioner, and her works brings technology and gerontology together. Ma'am, welcome you to Amity School of Fine Arts and to design thinking for a sustainable and changing world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. First of all, I really like to thank all of you, Amity School of Haryana, your team that actually brought us together. We from different backgrounds. It was very interesting, mind-boggling, all the speakers. And my background is interaction and user experience design and serious gaming. So I will be briefly talking about design thinking in context of these aspects. Currently, I am working at UPES Dehradun in School of Design. My broad research areas are serious gaming, user experience, human-computer interaction, and Geron technology. Like all speakers mentioned briefly about our 5 stages of design thinking that starts with empathy, design, we ideate, we prototype, we test. So it's kind of an iterative process so that we as a designer, we can give a long-term solution to our users' pain points, their problems, their needs, rather than creating something that is a band-aid solution. But when it comes to the sustainability part, so now sustainability can be achieved in multiple ways, broadly mentioned by different speakers. Apart from that, we can again mindfully and consciously make decisions while we are creating something, while we are behaving in a certain manner. So when it talks about sustainability, it is an approach so that we design and develop that focuses on environmental, social, culture, and financial factors. So when we talk about design thinking, a tool for sustainability, that means we are talking about something that is considering the aspect of planet in each and every stage of the design thinking. Like we empathize, we understand, we define. So user is not only the person, the human or the animals. Now we are talking in terms of the planet as a user. We are talking about their needs, their pain points, and we are creating design with eco design. So in the slide, I just wanted to see that overall we have come from a very different era. So when we talk about design thinking in context of practicing it, we can see even like the way we heard music earlier, from vinyl now to a cloud-based system. So music itself is not something that is digital like earlier. Now it is mostly towards going towards virtual. Not only music, of course, we have cashless, Paytm, we have GPay, and so on. So now we are trying to understand when it comes to sustainability, how we are making that tangible product into something that is intangible in service. So we are creating a physical product that is being replaced by something that is non-physical service. So if we see the lifestyle, so the thing is life cycle impact for all this aspect, if we consider from vinyl to the music, the CD, with CD, without CD, so you can see the biotic, abiotic, and water uses in different scenarios. Of course, it is not coming down to zero, but it is significantly less in all these categories. So now we are bringing digital, like we are talking about change in world. That is, we are changing with time, we are changing with our users' need, we are changing with our environmental need. So for example, now we have various solutions like online shopping, we have rental cars. So when we're talking about the rental car, you can see that if we share our rent, of course, there is a better solution for financial aspect, at the same time, environmental aspect. If we're talking about creating something innovative, like innovative solution, earlier in late 90s, when the we used carpets, like that's a very tedious cleaning, drying, and all this. But when we interface, that's a platform, that's a company, they introduce carpet that is very much carbon neutral. That the whole product life cycle, they are carbon neutral, and it can be easily installed, replaced, and it can be recycled. They even take the old carpet so that they can recycle and create something new. If we talk about the recycle, like we have multiple platforms where we can donate plastic, where we can give the used materials, and we can come up with a cleaner environment. So when you're talking about all this aspect, like design thinking, we are talking about sustainability. When it's all about design, we are having like a multidisciplinary aspect. Like we have technology, we have science, we have engineering, business, and so on. So we are creating something, understanding our users' context, we're understanding their needs, their design and desires, and we're trying to create something which is better. So when we're talking about all this aspect, we are creating something sustainable. You can creating something which, like our speaker already mentioned about the Apple product. Now it is coming in completely carbon-free products. We are talking about Zomato, so on, different food delivery system. They are introducing cycles. So they're also giving the employment, at the same time, they're creating something that is very much environmental friendly. Again, when it comes to a digital platform, we are using emails, we're using this online meetings, we are using Google Docs, and so on. So we are reducing the number of papers, we're reducing the number of carbon footprints throughout our nature. So I'm just bringing out the case study when we're talking about design practice in context of sustainability. This was done by Dr. Ravi Mukashi Punikar and Professor Nadnikani. So the thing is, this was a case study that was developed in the village of Amingao, Assam. So here we can see that when we're choosing the material, we are already talking about sustainability, that is minimizing resources, incorporation of the traditional available materials like my fellow speaker Jyoti already mentioned. So you can see they're using bamboos in all the areas, in the teaching classroom, the way in the sitting desk and the almiras. They are also producing multiple bamboo material, cane bamboo products. So they are choosing raw, low impact resources. They are trying to make sure the material have an extending life cycle. They are optimizing the product life. They are simplifying the disassembly. They are minimizing the material consumption. At the same time, they are minimizing the energy consumption. So again, when we're talking about sustainability, this is an ongoing research by a PhD scholar. So when we talk about the various Indian traditional production, it was earlier it was mostly sustainable. The production, the printing, the dyeing, all the process were mostly sustainable. So this is a process that is used in Uttarakhand. So this is Chindidari. So they're using the used materials, and as you can see in this chief. So the weavers, they are utilizing the used clothes. The strips have been placed, and they are carefully color coordinating each and every strip of used clothes so that they can create a rug. So this whole process is called Chindidari. So this is a sustainability example. Another thing is, when we're talking about sustainability, we all are designers. We all are, mostly we are mentors, educators. So how we are incorporating that design thinking in our classroom. In our classroom environment, you can see two different groups. We are teaching, for example, for BDIS game design student, what is the difference between play? What is the difference between game itself? So rather than we are utilizing in the initial stage, lots of PPTs or so on, we utilize a physical involvement in the game so that we understand what is game, what are the requirements of gameplay, and so on. But when we're doing so, we target it with a zero cost game. That is, even if it is implemented, it has minimum amount of money involvement. Here you can see the choosing of raw materials. We are talking about minimizing material consumption, energy consumption, and so on. So interestingly, this game was created so that we can teach school children regarding mathematical plus and minus regarding that. So here the person will call up and they will say, go right, go left. So the person who is following the stick, you can see. So the theme of the game was save the tree. The person will be out if not able to hold the stick. At the same time, it is delivering a message that is saving the tree. Another example, that is card game. So what we're talking about when we're talking about is changing the world. That is digitalizing. We're going toward digitalized, right? We are like Shruti already mentioned about game design or digital gaming, how we are getting disconnected. So when we're talking about creating game or game green, that we call, that we are considering the environmental aspect, we're considering the involvement of our participants. So we all have computers. They already come with some equipped with like sleep mode. Like when we're playing, when we are just ending of the game, or when you're using the laptop, it is always make sure that you use the sleep mode. So when we're talking about the video games, the controllers, all these aspects have a large consumption of power, of course. So what we can use is like rechargeable batteries. So that's where we can reduce the consumption. Again, when you're designing something digital, we're talking about serious game. When in the changing environment, when people are playing all across the age group, that means we are making sure that while you're interacting with the game, when we're interactive with the education, we can incorporate the sustainability education. We can incorporate the whole concept of sustainability goal, like minimizing energy consumption, educating clear about environmental issues, water management, etc. So this is an example of a game. I'm playing it. So it was created by students from Southern California. So as you can see in this example, it was an environmental game. So plasticity. So multiple games have been created that are showing how environmental knowledge, how our behavior can change our future in context of the wastage, in context of the way we're using the energy when we're creating even the games. So it is found that when we're talking about the physical game, the manufacturing itself have a huge impact, like carbon have been produced. And when you're talking about digital downloads, it is already only making 0.17 kilogram. So the thing is, when we're talking about this changing world, we are evolution have been like said that when you play, we understand, we learn, and so on. So why not incorporate that with context of sustainability? So when with similar platform like today, or the design practitioner that are already teaching the classroom, they are doing the research in the sustainability goal. So when we are talking about all these things, the only action will be like creating this conscious environmental awareness, creating an environment that can have all this design thinking together with our planet Earth. So the thing is, these are the references. I already mentioned the sources in the slide. If someone wants to look into all these things. So if someone is interested, you can connect me through the email addresses are given. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I hope we all empathize our Mother Nature while we are designing something. As a designer, we can make a difference. Our design decisions can have the impact on our environment as well as our user. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. You showed some case studies and example, and you mentioned about our conscious effort. How can it take us towards sustainability and sustainable design? Thank you for your valuable insight. And yeah, all the participants had brilliantly shares their ideas and thought, which we believe that all of your presence and expertise have greatly enriched this event and this session, and that will provide valuable insight and inspire our students to creating design in keeping in mind the sustainability, and that is the future of humanity and future of this world. I over to Dr. Sunidhi Sood ma'am. Sunidhi Sood ma'am to speak on that to speak on a vote of thanks. Ma'am, please, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ramesh. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're very much.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor for me to get the opportunity to thank all the distinguished guests and the participants on behalf of Amity School of Fine Arts, Amity University, Haryana. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to all those who have made this event on design thinking a tool for sustainability in a changing world possible. I'm extremely thankful to the Vice Chancellor, Sir, Honorable Professor, Dr. P.B. Sharma, for sparing his valuable and precious time and encouraging us with his words of wisdom. Thank you, sir, for always being supportive of our initiatives and encouraging us to strive for excellence. I would also take this opportunity to express my deep regards to the Pro Vice Chancellor, Sir Honorable Professor Dr. Vikas Madhukar, for being a constant motivator and guiding force in all our endeavors. I would like to thank Honorable Professor Dr. Uday Narayan Singh, Dean Faculty of Arts, for his unfaltering support and confidence in us. I would like to express my appreciation to our distinguished speakers who have taken time out of their busy schedule to grace this occasion with their presence. Your perspective and insightful explorations of the role of design thinking in addressing sustainability challenges in today's dynamic world has made this session more relevant and special. Thank you, Dr. Maya Jaber, Mr. Dharam Mentor, Professor Dr. Shruti Nigudkar, Dr. Manish Maroda, Professor Dr. Jyoti Chabra, and Dr. Nilakshi N for enlightening us. We are all inspired by your great words. Through such informative talks, we get a chance to boost our knowledge. I would also like to thank Dr. Rakesh Kumar Chaudhary, Head of Department, Amity School of Fine Arts, for organizing the session. Thanks to Dr. Ramesh Sampai for moderating the event, and also thanks to Mr. Vinod Chachre and Dr. Animesh Mehta for coordinating the event so well. A special thanks to all the participants for taking their time out to be a part of the session. I also want to thank our IT team who worked behind the scenes to execute this event. Thank you again to all the respected speakers, Honorable VC Sir, Honorable PVC Sir, Honorable Dean Sir, participants, faculty and students of Amity School of Fine Arts. It was because of everyone's support and hard work that this event was possible. Thank you so much.
I request all of you, please switch on your camera so that we can take a screenshot. Siddharth sir, Rakesh sir. Animesh sir. Rakesh, please take a few screenshots. Thank you all of you for your valuable time and your great insights. Thank you very much. So I think we all can leave now.
Yeah. Thank you so much to all of you, and especially guest speakers who could take a time and make this event successfully. Not only this particular topic which is related to the design thinking, but perhaps there are the different other topics which are related to the design thinking and the creative field, which is art and design. Not only in the design only, it's also in the textile and fashion design. This ma'am, as Chabra ma'am is saying, this thing, and also the UX/UI and the UX/UI design, the thinkings of the design thinking parts. And Shruti ma'am, there is a very good presentation. It's also the content which is related to the design thinking. It's what very good. So thank you so much once again to all of you to accept our invitation and give your valuable time for this particular event. Thank you so much, Sundar ma'am, for that particular wonderful thanks note and all the expertise. So thank you so much once again, especially Ramesh Sampai sir, for the short term. They are moderated very well. So thank you so much, sir, again. All the participants, thank you so much for joining us. So maybe you can leave. Thanks.
Thank you and congratulations, sir. Thank you.